Hello and welcome to Cinema of Blood. My name is John, and today once again 50 years of horror movies continues. I've got 5 horror films from the year 2007. 2 of those films are what are considered the French extreme horror films. These were horror films that were released in France or made by France or whatever from probably around the year 2005 to around the year maybe 2008, 2009. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about 2 of those movies from 2007 today. Okay. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is a vampire movie, and this is 30 Days of Night. All right, so this is directed by David Slade. The screenplay is by Steve Niles, Stuart Beatty, and Brian Nelson, and it is based on the graphic novel or series of graphic novels, because there have been more, and I'm not sure if Steve Niles wrote all of them, but the very first one was written by Steve Niles and illustrated by Ben Temple-Smith. All right. 30 Days of Night stars Josh Hartnett, Melissa George, Danny Houston, and Ben Foster. Okay, so what this is about is you got this town in Alaska, Barrow, Alaska, and it's getting ready to go into that, the whole 6 months of darkness or whatever it is they call it there, where it's like no sunlight, all right, for like a long, long time, okay? So this happens, and lo and behold, the town is besieged by this gang of bloodthirsty vampires. I mean, you got to think about this, and this is the thing about this, is when I went to see this movie, I saw the movie before I read the graphic novel. I love the graphic novel, love the movie. And I'm watching this, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, why before Steve Niles and Ben Temple-Smith came along and wrote the graphic novel, why did nobody think of this? Because it's freaking genius. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Vampires need darkness, they can't stand sunlight, and they drink blood. Wow, it's a no-brainer. Alaska. Put vampires in Alaska. How do you not think about this? That's just genius, all right? Anyway, 30 Days of Night. Love this movie. One of my favorite vampire movies of all time. All right. So there you go. That is 30 Days of Night. All right. So now moving on. The next 2 I'm going to talk about, like I said, are part of the French extreme line of horror movies. The first one I'm going to talk about is Frontiers. All right. This is written and directed by Javier Gans. It stars Samuel Le Bihan, Karina Testa, and David Saraceno. All right. I'm going to admit something about that part right there. I don't know if they're actually some of the main stars. I know Samuel Le Bihan is, but I don't know about the other 2, but they were the easiest names that I could pronounce, because some of them are very French, and I just have trouble getting that pronunciation out. Anyway, what this movie is about is this gang of thieves. And they're fleeing Paris. They're trying to flee Paris so they can have a life of freedom or whatever. And they end up on this kind of like a farm, all right? And the only thing about it is this farm is run by this group of neo-Nazi cannibals, all right? And they are, not only are they neo-Nazi cannibals, but they are also bound and determined to start another Aryan master race, all right? So you can imagine what it's like for our merry band of thieves, or not that merry though, to end up on a place like this. And if you think that blood and gore ensue throughout the rest of this movie, then you're absolutely right, okay? One thing the French did right, and I'm not saying they didn't do anything wrong, I don't mean to say it like that, but one thing they definitely got right was they know how to write or make a movie and make it bloody and gory, because that is what they do in this. And that is not even scratching the surface, because the next movie I'm going to talk about is even worse, and it is my favorite of the French extreme films. All right, so segueing into that movie, we are going to be talking about Inside. All right. Now, if you see the poster up there, that is the actual French title for the movie. I am not even going to try to pronounce that. Okay. Anyway, Inside, let me get back over here to it, is written and directed by Alejandre Bustillo and Julian Maury. It stars Alison Paradis and Beatrice Dahl. All right. So what this movie is about is this woman, she is pregnant. I don't want to give too much away about it, so I'm not going to really tell you about the prologue of the film. But anyway, she is pregnant. She is getting ready to give birth, and it is Christmas. I believe it's Christmas Eve. And I think she's supposed to go into the hospital on Christmas Day, and they're going to induce labor. However, while she is in her house on Christmas, I believe it's Christmas Eve. Again, like I said, it may be the day before Christmas Eve, and it may be... Anyway, she's in her house, and this woman, who in the credits, she's played by Beatrice Dahl, and in the credits she is only known as the femme fatale, gets into her house with the intention of taking that baby from her. All right? Now you got to remember this, the baby has not been born. To say this movie is a bloodbath is an understatement, because that is exactly what this movie is. It is an absolute bloodbath. This game of cat and mouse between Beatrice Dahl and Alison Paradis' character. Then you have a few other people that come in and get caught up in this cat and mouse game. And when I say cat and mouse, it's kind of one of those things. It's like the cat has already caught the mouse, and now the cat is playing with the mouse's bloody insides is what's going on, all right? Beatrice Dahl as the femme fatale is absolutely terrifying. You do not want to run into this woman in a dark alley, because she will kill you and leave you there to bleed without even cracking a smile, without even breaking a sweat. That is how chilling her character is, all right? Like I said, Inside is my absolute favorite of the French Extreme films. I watch this movie probably about once a year, and maybe there's something wrong with me for doing that, but yeah, I do. I watch it about once a year. So that is Inside, okay? All right, moving on. We've got The Mist, and it's directed by Frank Darabont. The screenplay is by Frank Darabont, and it is, of course, based on the novella by Stephen King. This movie stars Thomas Jane, Laurie Holden, and Marcia Gay Harden. And one thing about this is there's kind of a pre-The Walking Dead reunion, so to speak, because Darabont directed and wrote and kind of produced The Walking Dead when it first started. And this movie also stars Jeffrey DeMunn, who played Dale in the first 2 seasons, I believe. Laurie Holden, who played Andrea. Melissa McBride is in this. She plays Carol. I think that's all. I can't remember for sure, but I think that's all of them that starred in The Walking Dead. Anyway, what this movie is about is this town in Maine, and this mist, this thick mist, is just rolling into and over the town. And the only thing about this mist is there are these definitely Lovecraftian inspired creatures within this mist, all right? And they're deadly. So you got this bunch of survivors that are holed up in this grocery store. You got Thomas Jane, Laurie Holden, Marcia Gay Harden, Andre Brower is in this, Jeffrey DeMunn, I mentioned him. Anyway, they're holed up in this grocery store hoping to survive this, all right? And it's kind of like you not so much having to worry about the monsters on the outside, you got to worry more about the monsters on the inside, because people start to take sides against each other. Marcia Gay Harden plays this overly zealous religious woman, and she gets people over to her side, you know, and then, yeah, it's just like I said, you got to watch out for the monsters on the inside of the building and not the monsters on the outside. But if you get outside, yeah, you're going to have to worry about them too. This movie, and I'm not going to spoil it if you have not seen it, has probably the most depressing ending of probably almost any horror movie you're going to see. It is, oh my gosh, I don't want to, I'm not spoiling it. Anyway, that's The Mist. All right, and last but not least, we've got Paranormal Activity. All right, this is written and directed by Oren Peli, and it stars Mika Sloat and Katie Featherston. All right, this is a found footage movie. I'm going to flat out tell you, I've told you before, I like found footage movies, and this is one of them that is absolutely done right. Okay, so what this is about is you got this couple played by Mika Sloat and Katie Featherston, and a bit of a stretch as far as their names. In the movie, they're Mika and Katie too. So anyway, Katie is haunted by this entity. And she's been haunted for years and years, ever since she was a little girl, by this thing, by this spirit, this entity, this demon, you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's after her, and it's been after her for a long time. And basically what this is kind of a day or longer in the life of these two, and having to deal with this evil. Because it is a definite evil entity. All right. And it's one of those, and I know there's going to be some people when they comment on this, they're going to be commenting going, oh, this movie was so boring, everything. And I've told you before, I think that what you can't see can be a hell of a lot scarier than what you can see. All right. And this movie proves that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay. I don't know. There's just the scenes when they're with the two of them are lying in bed and they've got the camera running, and you just see the open door to their bedroom. You see the hallway, and it's just something about that just gets me every time. You know, it's just like this anticipation of something happening, and sometimes nothing does, but then other times, yeah, it definitely happens. All right. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing, I guess you could say, about Paranormal Activity. Like I said, I love this series. I love the franchise. I do. I watch them every so often. I just watch every one of them all the way through. I get a kick out of them. You know, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. All right. Yep. That is 5 horror movies from the year 2007. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.